So Amouranth was on that progressive victory I guess, pro Kamala, you know, remember that chat? Set up by that Vouch Destiny group. Austin Show went on it. A bunch of other like non-political streamers went on it. You guys remember this? Does anybody have a link to that? But Amouranth was reacting to Asmongold's pro-Nazi comments where he said that they didn't burn the books because they're trans. They burned the books because they are written in Jewish. And then I saw this specific clip, and this was the more important clip. The other clip was bad. There's no doubt about that. She was calling for, she wanted, you know, the Californian trans activists to burn to death in the LA wildfires, I guess. She kind of taunted the families who lost their home in recent recent wildfires. She called California it's an old boomer joke. It's something that a Texas Republican who's 70 years old would say. She said that California is the home of fruits and nuts, which is, of course, a double entendre because of, you know, California is known for its agricultural bounty, specifically of, you know, fruits and especially nuts. But also she was, you know, referring to gay people as fruits, right? And, of course, anybody who doesn't believe in Nazism, I guess, is a nut. To Amouranth. The upstairs lounge fire in New Orleans got covered as a weenie roast. Yeah. Yeah. Placid rage? No, not placid. And then I saw this clip. And like people throw around the term Nazi a lot. I actually don't tend to do that. I don't tend to call people Nazis. A lot. Because I don't think that it's usually useful. Or even accurate. But in this specific case, I don't know what else to say. I'm going to play the video and then I'm going to talk about it a little bit, but just going into it, I want you to listen to exactly what she's saying, because that's what I do. I am not an optics Andy. There are some good things to that. There's some bad things to that. If I was obsessed with optics Andy, then I probably wouldn't do content. I'm more interested in the ideas and the arguments that are being said by the people than how they're saying it or who is saying it, right? So let's listen to this.
A lot of bad shit happened in the Holocaust. And I don't think the Jewish people in general deserved that kind of torture. But at the same time, the act of getting people out of your country, if you don't think they should be there as a leader, I agree with. Like, if they're illegal or whatever. Like, I don't know, like, it was a line, they kind of crossed it, but for a while there, you know, it was, the idea when people are like, this is like the Nazis, like, I mean, sure, the first part, but what do you think? You think that just because we're getting people out of the country means that we're going to torture them? I would say being in the country is the kind of torture. These people don't look happy here. They kind of seem like they're already tortured.
A lot of stuff.
Okay, so now there's really only two outcomes here. Either Amouranth is literally arguing in favor of Nazism, or she just is so stupid and so arrogant as to not even care to look it up before she talks about it. I'm gonna go ahead and say, quite frankly, that Amouranth is smart enough to do research on the Holocaust before commenting on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that she believes what she says. Okay. So she said, now let's go back to what she said. All right. I'm not trying to virtue signal or anything. This is legitimately breaking it down. I want to break it down. Okay. Let's listen to what she's saying here.
That kind of torture. But at the same time, the act of getting people out of your country, if you don't think they should be there as a leader, I agree with. Like,
okay. The act of getting people out of your country, if you don't think they should be there, she agrees with. Okay. Now, she didn't say criminals. She didn't say invaders. She didn't say people that have or even illegal status as far as like immigration, like foreign citizens who are coming into your country without authorization. She's not arguing in favor of like a nation state, like enforcing immigration law or anything like that, right? Against citizens of other countries. That's not what she's saying. Okay. That would be a position that is a conservative position. I don't agree with it, but we do live in a world of nation states. And if nation states enforce their border laws against foreign nationals who come into the country without authorization and commit crimes, I don't think that is a completely insane position to take, right? That is not the position she's taking, okay? The position she's taking is, if you're a leader and there are people in the country you do not like, let's go ahead and listen to the whole quote again. I mean, this is, it's very important that we go through here. And I don't know what else to say, like, I think there's I think there's just like we've crossed a certain kind of Rubicon where people like myself or Hassan talking about politics and being successful streamers. You know, I think most of these people are paying more attention to Hassan because I'm just a political guy, and therefore, and I don't really interface with these people much, right? I only like interfacing with people who I detect are openly political, right? I don't go and interact with streamers that are not political because I just don't feel that is my what I want to do, quite frankly. And I don't like the culture of most of those places, so I just don't participate. But I think like people like Amouranth, you know, they have the logic of get attention, right? And ride the meta. And I think that legitimately being the most good faith I could possibly be is she's trying to ride the fascism meta. Like, I don't even know if she would know that it's the fascism meta. It's just the, oh, you know, look, we have the mold guy is growing, you know, he's got good viewership with his pro-Trump shit, and she's just trying to ride the meta, right? But the problem is that Amouranth accidentally just advocated for full-blown Nazism, right? And like, I wonder if she knows that, you know, and I know that she's a smart woman. Like, I just know that, like, she has been a effective creator, businesswoman, makes a lot of money, you know, invests it. She's not dumb. She's not a stupid person. All right. She is. So I'm forced to conclude that she's just outright has become radicalized into supporting Nazism. And like, that's just the way it is. I don't know what else to say. So let's listen to the full clip. I don't want anybody to say I'm taking this out of context. and I'm going to break it down into the constituent parts as I was started to do. The only thing that's annoying to me about the Asmund shit is that another reminder to me that I sure wish Hassan was more discerning in who he platforms, and I especially wish the people on this platform weren't so dog-brained to think that every time their favorite streamer talks to someone, then that person must be good. That's the feeling I have. I mean, like, there has always been kind of a divide on Twitch between sex pests and the non-sex pests. There's always been this kind of like simmering divide between the people that want to take advantage of their audience in sociopathic ways and the people that just like being, you know, wealthy and famous and are normal. Like, that's always been the divide on Twitch. I'm going to just say it outright. And, you know, like, Asmongold, you know, Train, all these guys, like, they're very comfortable with just ruining their audience's lives for as much money as they can get. You know, like, you don't go into a joint venture with a crypto casino if you don't mind a lot of people's lives being ruined. Like, it's just a fact, okay? It is what it is. The social political climate we currently live in is not so different from the one in the 20s, 30s. Everybody is either adopting the official far-right narrative or being fearful and shutting up. At this stage, we can't accept idiots and cowards that go no politics. I mean, my kind of take on that is, 35% of this country is fascist. And has been for a very long time. I would say that America is probably one of the most fascist countries in history, and always has been. But we got lucky. We got lucky in the sense that we had leaders in this country who were able to contain fascist and the fascist impulse in our country, and especially domestically, and kind of push it overseas. And unfortunately, I would say that, like, the country went into a crisis with the Great Recession, and we tried to elect another FDR, right? We tried to elect another FDR with Barack Obama, and Barack Obama was Herbert Hoover. And I think a lot of people are just, you know, because he's so personable and he is so, and he has like a lot of charisma, I think a lot of people just will never accept that. But he was our Herbert Hoover. It's like re-electing Herbert Hoover in 1932. That's what we did. And everything that's happened since then is the consequence of that. And so we did, you know, imagine America if we didn't get FDR, right? Like, we would have become allies with Nazi Germany. And this is exactly what you're seeing. You know, the United States is aligning itself with all the fascist governments around the world. And so why do I say all this? Well, there is a strong, at least strong enough, population of people who are outright fascist in this country to make this a fascist country. They have enough people, period. It's not that they're their majority, but they do have enough people, and they're organized enough, and they have dehumanized others to a sufficient extent. And I think this is what Amouranth is helping all of us understand, is that we are actually at this stage. We are actually at this stage of a lot of people that are kind of like just coming out and saying it and realizing that they can get away with it. So everybody who's interested in saying it, who's always been interested in saying it, is now coming out and saying it. Right? So we're a lot of people who maybe did different things for social or business reasons now feel that they can show their true colors. So let's go ahead and listen to what Amouranth's political views are.
That kind of torture. And I don't think a lot of bad shit happened in the Holocaust. And I don't think the Jewish people in general deserved that kind of torture. But at the same time, the act of getting people out of your country if you don't think they should be there as a leader, I agree with, like, if they're illegal or whatever. Like, I don't know, like, it was a line, they kind of crossed it, but for a while there, you know, it was the idea when people are like, this is like the Nazis. Like, I mean, sure, the first part, but what do you think? You think that just because we're getting people out of the country means that we're going to torture them? I would say being in the country is the kind of torture. These people don't look happy here.
Yeah, they've earned a lot of stuff.
All right, so let's talk about Nazism and what she's saying here. So basically, the argument the Nazis made is that that society is about a competition between the races, okay? And nations arise from this competition of races, which is like natural selection, all right? This was the Nazi argument. And that Germany, in particular, was the purest modern form of what they called the Aryan race, which they said was the superior next step in human evolution, the superior race, the finest form of humanity, the best form of humanity. And their belief was that Jews represented another competitor race, the Jewish race, which was foreign to Germany, right? Foreign to Aryanness. And that the Jews were attempting to take over the planet by subjugating other races, other competitor races, especially the Aryan race. Now, this is nonsensical bullshit. I just want to say that there's no such thing as the Aryan race. It's just made up. It's not a thing. There's no genetic component. There's no component of anything that actually exists in the world, right? They're just making shit up. And if you're talking about specific traits, Germany is not the top country for certain genetic traits, like blue eyes or something, right? Like, it's just not, it's not a thing. Just on its face, it's laughable hokum. It's stupid. And Amouranth is buying this idea, period. This is a foundational belief of Nazism. That's why she says when the Nazis, when a leader wants people out of their country, that's okay. Now, the German Jews in Nazi Germany spoke German. They looked German. They were integrated in German society. They were part of Germany just as much as a fucking Bavarian was, or a Prussian was. They were German and had been German for 1,000 fucking years. They were born there. Their grandfather was born there. They were German as German can be. They were German citizens. And what Nazis did, and this is why I think it's fair to say that Amouranth has adopted Nazi views here, is what the Nazis did is they said, I don't want you here because you're a minority. You disagree with me on Christianity or whatever the fuck. And I'm going to declare you a separate race, and I'm going to remove you from society. And they stripped all their rights. Jewish doctors were not allowed to practice medicine. Jewish lawyers were not allowed to practice law. Their businesses were taken. Their money was taken. They weren't allowed to practice their religion. They had to put on badges identifying themselves. Eventually, it got to the point where, as we now know, they were rounded up, sent to death camps, and exterminated through industrial precision, and their bodies burned in mass crematoriums, okay, until they were almost completely wiped out. Amouranth is right. Originally, the Nazis just wanted to deport the Jews, but then they figured out it was too hard. It was easier to just kill all the Jews than deport them. So when Amouranth says, I agree with the idea that if a leader thinks that you shouldn't be there, it's okay to remove you from society, she is fundamentally supporting, in her essence, the Nazi beliefs. The Nazi beliefs about race, the Nazi beliefs about what is and isn't part of a nation. She is, you know, agreeing with Nazis. And the important thing to know about the Holocaust is when the Nazis were running for office. They didn't say, hey, we're going to round up all the Jews in mass camps and exterminate them and machine gun them down into mass grave pits. Okay? That's not what they ran on. But it is the conclusion they arrived to after other forms of right deprivation proved to be insufficient for their goal of removing Jews from German society and from European society, right? So if you're saying that the Nazis got the first part of the Holocaust right, you're fundamentally implicitly agreeing with all the shit that came after because you agree with the fundamental premises. This is Nazism. There's like, this isn't just like I'm calling you a Nazi because I don't like, you know, your political views on immigration or something. This is literally going to your audience and saying, I agree with Nazism. And that is batshit crazy.
Torture. But at the same time, the act of getting people out of your country, if you don't think they should be there as a leader, I agree with.
Okay, the act of getting people out of your country as a leader, if you don't think they should be there, she agrees with. Now, I just have one question for Amouranth. I haven't brought this up yet, but I think it is an important question. Do you think that sex workers and creating pornography is something that Christian fascists in America are in favor of? Do you think you might be one of the groups that they want to oppress, remove from the country, arrest, otherwise, like, what are you doing? You're not on the team. Like, even from the point of view of just strict egoism, if you just wanted to act purely as a sociopath in your own interest, you're a pornographer. You're not on Team White. Maybe right now it feels like you are. But you're just being a useful idiot. There's a group of people that I like to draw attention to because whenever I see shit like this, it's called the Organization of German National Jews. The Association, excuse me, of German National Jews. These were the pro-Nazi Jews. Now, if you're hearing that and it's making your brain explode, going, wait, there were pro-Nazi Jews? Yes. Not capos. Capos are people that are coerced by the Nazi government in order to collaborate. That's not what the Association of German National Jews is, okay? A capo is somebody who's being coerced, right? They're bad. They're a collaborator. They're an ally of the Nazis, but at least they had a gun put to them and said, you either help us or die right now. And they chose to help the Nazis to save their own skin. That is disgusting cowardice and pathetic, but it's different than this. This is German Jews who literally supported the Nazis before any kind of coercion occurred. All right? The Association of German National Jews was founded in 1921 by Max Neumann, who was its chairman until 1926, and again from 1933 to 1935 when the association was forcibly dissolved. The association was close to the National Conservative and monarchist German National People's Party, which, however, refused affiliation to the association. The goal of the association was the total assimilation of Jews into the German Volksgemeinschaft, self-eradication of Jewish identity, and the expulsion from Germany of Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe. Naumann was especially opposed to Zionists, Marxists, and Eastern European Jews, Ostjuden. He considered the former threats to Jewish integration and carriers of a racist ideology serving British imperial purposes. He said the latter as racially and spiritually inferior. The agitation carried out by the VNJ against Ostjuden was particularly welcomed by the Nazis to point out the supposedly great dangers of Eastern Jewish immigration to Germany. So basically, before the Nazis got fully into power, they used these guys who largely agreed with the idea of like, okay, Jews should just assimilate and we're going to follow Hitler and we're going to do all that. These are Jews that literally agree. And this wasn't a small group of people. There were thousands of these guys in Germany. Among the activities of the association was the fight against international anti-Nazi boycott of German products. It also issued a manifesto that claimed that Jews were being fairly treated. In 1934, the association made the following statement: "We have always held the well-being of the German people and the fatherland, to which we feel inextricably linked, above our own well-being. Thus, we greeted the results of January 1933, even though it has brought hardship for us personally." They celebrated the election of Hitler as Jews. Our reasons why some German Jews supported Hitler was they thought his anti-Semitism was only for stirring up the masses. Also, they adhered to a kind of respectability politics that led many non-Jews in the German Reich to congratulate the VNJ with the phrase, "If only all Jews were like you." Hey, Amouranth, does this sound familiar? If only all women were like you. If only all pornographers were like you. The seemingly ironic fact that a Jewish association advocated loyalty to the Nazi program gave rise to a contemporary joke about Naumann and his followers, ending their meeting by giving the Nazi salute and shouting, "Down with us!" Despite the extreme nationalism of Naumann and his colleagues, the Nazi regime did not accept them. The Association of German National Jews was declared illegal and dissolved in 18 November 1935. Naumann was arrested by the Gestapo the same day and imprisoned at the Columbia concentration camp. Most other members and their families were murdered in the Holocaust. So the idea that you could just be like, oh yeah, I'm a pornographer who's in favor of the Christian conservative fascist government deporting people that they don't think deserve to be in the country. Why? Is there any logic to it? Is there any argument to it? No, it's just, I think you should be deported. The leader thinks you should be deported. She supports that idea.
There's an expression, I don't know if they coined it or whether it's a commonplace in your generation. The expression is gooning, G-O-O-N-I-N-G.
Grooming or gooning?
Gooning, G-O-O-N-I-N-G. It means basically being transfixed with porn, video porn, for like 24 or 48 hours straight. If straight's the right word there. And it struck me, now I know this is going to sound harsh, but it struck me that even though this crowd considered itself bohemian, and even though this crowd considered itself, what would you say, anti-establishment, it struck me this was exactly the crowd that would go over to fascism.
I mean, Norman Finkelstein is totally right. And like, so I don't know what else to say to Amouranth. Like, and by the way, none of these people are not American citizens. These are American citizens who simply are going to a meeting and they are advocating for defense of the trans community from people in a different state trying to restrict their ability to control their own bodies, which has been, and that's what's really crazy to me about Amouranth is like her entire argument for why she should do what she gets to do is because it's her body and she should be able to do with it as she wishes, no matter what the norms of society are, right? It's like she's created an internet bubble for herself where what she does is just like A-okay fine. I just, it's batshit. But when somebody else wants to, have their own gender identity, not hurt anybody else, have their own gender identity, be respected, that's like, no, we should deport them from the country.
Other
it's
people do
not
it.
even at all. I think Kamala is more qualified, probably like in the.
But then how are you an undecided voter?
Because I don't like the issues where it's like they're gonna make tax cuts not happen.
So you're a single issue voter on tax cuts.
No, I'm not single, but I am greedy as fuck.
And it's just about taxes.
If you're a single issue, you should vote Trump, right, for tax cuts.
That's what she's
But
saying,
see,
basically.
I don't support him on like
Yeah, but-
other issues.
yeah, 'cause you're not single
That's
issue.
why
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
it.
not voting because I feel like I can't vote.
Does it
in
really
good
matter? What do
faith
you
other
even?
than being greedy as
let's
fuck.
say that there's like a 10-point tax cut. What changes in your life?
It's the principle. I'm a greedy bitch on principle.
But wait, that doesn't make much sense to me because
Why I just don't vote.
you make enough money to not really have to worry about even like, if you want reproductive rights, like it doesn't really matter for you. You can just fly to a different country, get whatever abortion you need.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The reproductive rights don't really affect anyone who's not like poor, because
Right, but
it's
why
the
do you
poor
care
people
about it?
that get screwed
Why
over.
do you care about it? You said you're greedy, so that's why I'm asking.
Because I think that it's a terrible idea to try to lock the lower class into having a baby, because that just contributes more to like homelessness eventually if they really can't afford to raise a kid.
Okay, so you
Or,
don't feel like
potentially
taxation plays
criminal
a
activity if
part
it's
of
like a
that?
bad neighborhood.
She's more pro-abortion because of the eugenic purposes, like the racial hygiene stuff. I mean, like, honestly, I would say that this is a pretty clear. So she didn't really answer. Like, I think Destiny's dumb as fuck, but his point to her of like, why would that, doesn't even change anything. She just answers, I'm greedy. Amouranth's words dovetail into what Republicans in Congress are moving toward right now, saying about Ilhan Omar and the bill they're pushing. Here's Code Pete confronting one of the Republicans who wrote it. Yeah, I know. I saw that. Also, every single one of these people except Dan has denounced Destiny. I don't know if Amouranth did. I don't think Amouranth cares about other women being like... I mean, maybe I'm wrong on that, but... I shouldn't say that because I don't know, but... Casey Tron vindicated once again. Why wouldn't Casey Tron be vindicated? I just don't understand. Like, she apparently said Assad is a terrorist supporter and is botted. We are the least botted accounts on the entire website. We are the least botted accounts on the website. I don't even have 100,000 followers. I have 0 bots in this fucking channel, and I never have. Like, she's dumb as fuck if she thinks that Hassan and I are botted. We are the least botted channels on the entire website. Why? Because I don't want to give people the opportunity to get me banned for that shit. And obviously, I don't care. I don't care about my number being big. Holy shit, that's crazy. I don't even run ads. She's obviously no political analyst nor scholar, but I think the point is that she knows what she's doing to garner attention for streaming. She's good at streaming and promoting herself and smart about it. Yeah, that's also why she didn't want to say she's pro-Trump. She is pro-Trump. She just doesn't want to alienate gooners or liberals. She wants to have the maximum possible audience. So she didn't want to alienate the people who hate Trump. Now that Trump has won, she feels comfortable saying how she supports everything Trump's doing because she's seeing Asmongold's views go up. And she's realizing like, oh, I could just go toward the right-wing grift to get more views. It's not actually going to hurt you. That's what's happening. It's not hard to figure out. Bro, Casey Tron says you're botting. What the fuck is going on? No, she doesn't. Like the idea, like it's so funny because like Hassan and I have the most like subscribers to viewer rate. Like we month in, month out have had the most subscribers. Nobody is supporting us from the out. We're not getting any money from any outside group because nobody wants our politics that is in power. Let's be honest, okay? They oppose it. We need to make a Caseytron Wikipedia page because you search for Caseytron on Wikipedia, it redirects to Austin show. Interesting.
Like, if they're illegal or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, there was a line, they kind of crossed it, but for a while there, you know, it was the idea when people are like, this is like the Nazis. Like, I mean, sure, the first part.
Your chat is faster than bigger streamers. No shit. Mike, logic for you. Is this some left-wing nonsense? Oh no. Are you afraid? Your name is Logic. Are you afraid to face the music with logical arguments, sir? What's your strong... Mike, logic for you. What's your strongest anti-left-wing argument? What is the left wing and what's your strongest anti-left-wing argument? Bigger streamers probably have the chat slowed down much more than Mike does. No, they don't. They just have less chatters. They have less people actively engaging with the stream. It's just a fact. Trump allies circulate mass deportation plan calling for processing camps and private citizen army. The group led by Blackwater veteran Eric Prince has close Trump ties. A group of prominent military contractors, including former Blackwater CEO Eric Prince, has pitched the Trump White House on a proposal to carry out mass deportations through a network of processing camps on military bases, a private fleet of 100 planes, and a small army of private citizens empowered to make arrests. The blueprint, laid out in a 26-page document President Donald Trump's advisors received before the inauguration, carries an estimated price tag of $25 billion and recommends a range of aggressive tactics to rapidly deport 12 million people before the 2026 midterms, including some that would likely face legal and operational challenges. The group, which includes some former immigration officials, is led by Prince, who has close ties to Trump, and Bill Matthews, the former chief operating officer of Blackwater, the military contractor known for its role in providing security training and logistical support to U.S. forces in Iraq and Afghanistan during the war on terror. Deporting 12 million people in 2 years would require the government to eject nearly 500,000 illegal aliens per month. To keep pace with the Trump deportations, it would require a 600% increase in activity. It is unlikely that the government could swell its internal ranks to keep pace with this demand. In order to process an enormous number of deportation, the government should enlist outside assistance. They want to privatize the ICE. Privatizing ICE. Did you ever see Dark Side Phil's subscriber to viewer ratio when he was on Twitch? Guy was basically a money laundering scheme. He had 10 subscribers to viewer ratio or something extreme. Dark Side Phil is a total. I don't even know. I don't know much about that guy other than he's like one of the original like anti-fan creators. TikTok account Proho, survivalist chud content, made a video offering to build gallows for the White House lawn for Trump. Yeah, I saw that. Can we spend a little time talking about who the our is when people like this say our country? It's a point that really drives me insane. This idea that there is a country who's ordained to dominate everyone else for no other reason than they exist. I mean, what can you say? Destiny blamed the Jews for losing the 2024 election. All right, I'll look at this. Destiny.
People are saying he's done 70 something so far. Yeah.
Who do you blame on the Democratic side? Merrick Garland?
Voters.
Besides voters.
Voters, fuck them.
Yeah.
This is what the voters voted for. They should have voted more. Fuck them.
How do you think it ends for the Jews?
Who cares?
I care.
I don't give a fuck. Fuck the Jews.
You know what?
You know what?
I know how it ends for the
Cubans.
Cubans.
We were going to win that last election, honestly. And then out of nowhere, when we were winning, I think a bunch of Jews snuck in and they fucking stabbed us in the back. I think that's what happened. I think that
there's not that many of us.
I don't even, like, who watches this shit? Who watches this shit? It's legitimately bottom of the barrel shit. It's not even like, do you find that, wow, that was so, well guys, he made a stabbed in the back joke about Jews. Wow, so edgy. Boring, dude. Fucking boring. Private Ice at Gitmo already? Yeah. Private company ready Guantanamo immigrant jail accused of right. Oh no shit, you don't say. What did Amouranth do? I already played it. All right, let's fit it. Let's play it one more time and then I'll give you my closing thoughts.
A lot of bad shit happened in the Holocaust. And I don't think the Jewish people in general deserved that kind of torture. But at the same time, the act of getting people out of your country, if you don't think they should be there as a leader, I agree with. Like, if they're illegal or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like,
illegal or whatever, laugh, smile. Like, this is the part that really got me.
Like, if they're illegal or whatever.
Whatever.
Like,
and then there's that big smile. Like, what's or whatever mean? Like, Jews, by the way, illegal doesn't even mean anything. I want to explain this to everybody just so you can understand one thing. Illegal is just rules that went through the process of becoming law. It doesn't have any kind of inherent moral worth. And it relies upon societal consent in order to practice, right? We set up these institutions. We set up these kind of like ways of creating law, but law in and of itself can be changed. And when the Nazis took over the government of Nazi Germany and they removed the democracy, they could just make laws by fiat. Hitler could just make laws. That's what was made. That was called the Enabling Act. Nobody had to vote on the laws. There was no parliament. There was no Congress. He could just make laws by fiat. And he banned all the opposition parties to the Nazi party. They all got banned. The Center Party got banned. The Conservative Party was absorbed. The Social Democratic Party was banned. The Communist Party was banned. You know, all those parties got banned. So he could just pass whatever law. So you know what he said? He passed the Nuremberg laws. And they said Jews were no longer citizens and they took away all their rights and their papers. They became illegal, even though they were born there, even though they, you know, even people that were 3/4 non-Jewish, some of them were declared, or most of them were declared Jewish and killed. I want you to imagine that 3/4 of your parents are Christians. You were never Jewish. You never practiced Judaism. You just had one grandparent who was Jewish. They said, oh, that's a Jew, and they killed those people. This is the type of shit we're talking about here. So what she says, or whatever, that's what made me think, oh, she's just her outright supporting the Nazis, saying the Jews are foreign, made it up, by the way. They just made that up, and they killed them all. Also, notice she doesn't categorically denounce what happened to the Jews of the Holocaust. She says Jews in general didn't deserve. She said Jews didn't deserve the torture, by the way.
a lot of bad shit happened in the Holocaust. And I don't think the Jewish people in general deserved that kind of torture. But
okay, the Jewish people in general didn't deserve torture, but like she's leaving open the possibility that Jews deserved to be removed from the country.
At the same time, the act of getting people out of your country, if you don't think they should be there as a leader, I agree with, like, if they're illegal or whatever. Like, I don't know, like, it was a line, they kind of crossed it, but for a while there, you know, it was... Yeah,
when did the Nazis can Amouranth tell us when the Nazis crossed the line and when they were doing good? Like, how far in? Like, what year was, like, what was the point where she says the Nazis went from doing good to the Nazis crossed the line? When would she say that? kind of crossed it.
The idea when people are like, this is like the Nazis. Like, I mean, sure, the first part, but.
So she is agreeing that the politics she supports is like the Nazis. The first part of the Nazis. I don't know if you know this, Amouranth, but Trump's only been in office for a little over a month. So I would say that this is the early part, wouldn't you? So the early part of Trump is like the early part of the Nazis. You don't say.
What do you think? You think that just because we're getting people out of the country means that we're going to torture them? I would say being in the country is the kind of torture. These people don't look happy here.
By the way, none of these people, from what I see, these people are not illegal immigrants. These are Americans going to a town meeting and making statements about what they believe. This is like First Amendment 101 shit. What are you talking about?
They kind of seem like they've
earned a lot of stuff. It's both, yeah. And no, a lot. And I wish people.
Wild how this shit doesn't make a peep on LSF, but Hassan clips go viral there. LOL. I mean, Hassan clips went viral. What Hassan clips? Like, I don't even know what to say. Like this is just Nazism. There's really nothing more to say. At the end of the day, that's what she was advocating for. How does this not a clip that went on live stream? How does this not go on live stream? Like, how is this not here? Nobody posted it? Like, really? They allowed politics. This is not a clip that goes on LSF. Destiny predicts Asmongold's next word. 0 upvotes. Damn, dude. It was there twice. Looks like it was removed. They removed it because it's over 14 days old. Is it even over 14 days old? I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. What? Old news. Exceptions will be made if new information alters the relevancy of... I think there's some new information. Like, for example, Jewish people in general, literally a Nazi. Okay, so the ad... So they were... So her Nazism... So it had 500 upvotes and 200 comments. So this was just swept by the ad... By the mods. This is just swept by the mods. What the fuck? The Asmod clip was about the Nazi persecution of trans people, which is why Amouranth started talking about deportation. Huh? Does she think trans people are not American citizens?
Fucking Twitter guy for fucking Sieg Heil. It was funny. I made fun of the fucking Twitter guy for fucking Sieg Heiling not once but twice. And I never look at my emails. I was scrolling through my emails and it said my Twitter account had been flagged for I don't even tweet anymore. It had been flagged for what a fucking baby. Just like Hitler, a fucking baby. How about the fact that the Twitter guy he's not even from here. He's from South Africa. He comes to this country and wants to turn it into a fucking dictatorship. He doesn't feel that we deserve democracy. Can you just imagine doing that? Going to another country and just deciding, yeah, you know what? I'm going to change this form of government because I've decided. Yeah, he doesn't mind living under a dictatorship as long as he's on the good side of it. Fucking laminated face cunt. Because that's another thing. All of these people that are into fucking Hitler, you know what I mean? And like, look at this guy like he was some sort of fucking hero. The guy's one of the biggest fucking cowards ever. All the pain and all the suffering that guy's caused and the war crimes the Allies had to commit, firebombing fucking cities to get that motherfucker. When it came time for him to pay the price for all the suffering he caused millions and millions and millions of people. Did he face the music? Nope. He gave himself a nice, quick, painless fucking death. That's your fucking hero? Fucking coward is what he was. He should have faced the fucking music.
Elon's grandfather moved from Canada to South Africa because it supported apartheid. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Bill Burr for leftist Joe Rogan. Yeah, that would be nice. Did you see this new channel that is combating Ethan's misinformation?
Israel won the war. Save the children of Gaza!
Ethan Klein recently published a nearly 2-hour-long video essay filled with some of the most lazy Israeli propaganda ever produced as part of a hit piece on political commentator Hassan Piker. Here we will deconstruct just a few of the racist lies Ethan tells in defense of Israel's apartheid regime and their genocide in Gaza.
Is it really insane to think that Jews, as an ethnic minority in Israel, would not be safe?
Jews are the ethnic majority in the UN-recognized territory of Israel. They've been the majority ever since Zionist forces captured 80% of historic Palestine between 47 and 49. In that time, Zionist forces ethnically cleansed 80% of the indigenous population of Palestine, and ever since, Jews have lived as a privileged class in an apartheid state.
After all, Israel is a country of refugees. If the Jews didn't come from Europe after the Holocaust, they came from the surrounding Arab countries.
Jewish settlement and colonization of Palestine began in the 1800s, well before World War II, and the refugees to which Ethan refers actively participated in massacring and ethnically cleansing the indigenous population of Palestine. The point Ethan is making is akin to claiming that the white Afrikaners of South Africa or pilgrims in America who arrived as poor people with nowhere else to go should be seen as victims despite their colonization of the land and extermination of the indigenous population.
In fact, there was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba. 1 million Jews.
There is zero factual basis to this statement. The Nakba is the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, which took place between...
I think one of the things that I would say is that, I think there goes to TOS soon, but the one thing that I would say about this is Ethan Klein doesn't care about any of that shit. Like, he doesn't care about the factual nature of what he's saying, right? Like, if we were to convince Ethan Klein that the idea that that more Jews were forced out of their countries in the Middle East to Israel than Palestinians were forced from their homes during the Nakba, he wouldn't suddenly go, you know what, you're right, Israel is bad. Like, he's just going through the motions of repeating shit, and we knock it down one by one, and at the end, he's going to have the same conclusion he has at the beginning. So I do appreciate this video. Maybe we'll watch it, but it's a different person than what I was talking about right now, which is, like, the fact that I can't believe this. Like, you know what happens? Like, can we talk about I'm going to do something that's going to piss people off, but I don't care. Can we talk about lumpen proletariat for a second? And this is where anarchists and I diverge the most. Basically, the idea that people who are criminals and people who are scammers and things are going, non-conformists, right? They're going to be the source of a revolution against, capitalism. And it's like, no. What's going on with people like Amouranth is Amouranth has decided to do something that I believe she has the right to do, which is, practice, sex work and, own her own images and make money off of it, right? The problem with Amouranth is everybody's not like me. Most people in this society have misogynistic traditional views towards sex, right? They think that sex is a private, almost like holy, intimate act, and that, becoming a prostitute or becoming a sex worker is degrading and bad, right? And should be shamed. That's part of the reason why sex workers make money. Sex workers are basically being paid for the opprobrium that they're bringing on themselves, right? Like, you practice sex work, you're inviting a bunch of people to look at your intimate sexual images for money, and you're going to get a lot of like inappropriate behavior. You're going to get a lot of hate. You're going to get, called all sorts of names. You're going to be degraded by society. You're going to be put into this class of person who is lesser. Even though you're winning the capitalist game and you're making a lot of money, you're still considered to be tawdry. You're still considered to be separate from like a good person, right? No, I don't agree with that. But that's the way society behaves. And a lot of people on the left have gone to bat for Amouranth, have gone to bat for the sex workers that are on this platform, because we believe that women should have bodily autonomy, that sex work is work, and that we're defending them against the misogynistic hate that they received in the past, right? Because we think that's the right thing to do. But that doesn't mean everybody who does sex work is going to be an enlightened person who hates misogyny. This is the ironic part. Is like, Amouranth looks at those people with contempt. The people that she's making money from. She looks at her Johns with contempt, which is totally understandable. Like, I get it. Like, if you're getting misogynistically attacked all the time and attacked for being a sex worker, and then so many people buy your OnlyFans, the hypocrisy of society must really piss you off. You must really look at like I'm just smart for doing this, right? I'm making a lot of money. I get to do what I want in life. And a bunch of people insult me and call me names and call me, and degrade me. But I'm the one who's smart, and you're stupid, and you're all hypocrites. And society is is hypocritical, and I hate you, basically. And it's only about me. And you know what? Fuck you. Fuck society. It's only about what I can do. I should take advantage of these people. Fuck them. This is the type of brain that people get into. In the lumpen proletariat segment of our society, where you are going against societal norms, you're going against the status quo, you're taking money that you can because you're in a capitalist society, and there's an imperative to make as much money as you can because money equals power and freedom. And so the wealthier she gets, the less solidarity she shows. That's the thing that's crazy. Like, the more money that Amouranth makes, the less she cares about helping out other people that are in her shoes. Like, the less she cares about women being oppressed or women being mistreated or sex workers being targeted, because her money has insulated her into a bubble. And she can construct herself her own little world, where she is actually one of the elite now. She doesn't suffer any opprobrium. She's rich. She's powerful. You're fucking poor. She's better than you. And like, that is the brain cope that we're looking at, and that's why she's doing this like fascist pick me shit, because it's to soothe her own ego. It really is. It's like, I haven't been degraded. I haven't been mistreated for doing sex work. I'm actually in the power position. I am strong. I am not. I am, the pro-Christian right sex worker or whatever. Ammo and Hassan teamed up during the pandemic with a bunch of PMCs who were working from home and jacking off to sex workers during the lockdown. There's an entire movement of so many stupid sex workers on Twitter who got the bag by being vaguely left-wing. Yeah, I know. And it doesn't make, like, it's one of those things where it's like, I hate to go to like the liberal show, but I think Handmaid's Tale is honestly dead on. Like, Amouranth is the Handmaid's Tale sex worker. It's like pro-Christian right. Yeah, to destroy liberal values like freedom of speech. pro-Christian right. Yeah, you know, deport people. Yeah, invade people's rights. Yeah, suppress them in a conservative way. And it's like, wait a minute. Like, do you think? And maybe she's calculated it right, you know? Maybe the Christian right-wingers are not going to crack down on the independent female porn producers. Maybe the leopards won't eat her face. I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on the revolutionary potential of gangs? Almost zero. In fact, the criminal element is overwhelmingly a reactionary force. And this is borne out by history. Like, if you look at Cuba, the mafia was in line with what? The CIA and Batista. If you look at Mexico, the cartels are in line with the CIA and the conservative movement in Mexico and the capitalists in Mexico. It's so funny. People will be like, oh man, AMLO, they're run by the cartels. No, they're not. In fact, the conservative government that came before AMLO's party, before Morena, they literally were bribing the conservative in charge of basically the Mexican FBI. Like, he's in federal prison in the US for accepting a bunch of bribes from the cartel. It's just all projection and lies, as usual, of course. I think Tupac wanted to revolutionize the lumpen proletariat. One time did a video on this. Tupac, bro. I say pack. Tupac, sorry.